Hi everyone, Simon here with a review of BeatBeat. BeatBeat is a rhythm action game trapped inside a platformer, and it's available in early access at the moment over on Steam. I was fortunate enough to have a copy sent for constructive early feedback because I love me a rhythm action game, and so I was very interested and keen to get involved. This game has a variety of different types of music that you play with, but the overall aesthetic and graphical theme is Vaporwave. So everything from the Windows 95 main menu through to the neon kind of hazy shade and CRT screens of the actual levels themselves, you're in that Vaporwave style and vibe. Into the game though itself, it's worthwhile warning up front that this is designed for hardcore rhythm action / platformers. It is difficult, and there is an immediate difficulty curve, and I'll explain a couple of reasons why it is. And maybe it's more extra difficult for me because I am a heavy rhythm action game player. You play as this cube which you move around with the left stick and can jump with the right trigger on the controller. And you'll need to kind of move around the level to line yourself up for where the arrows are, so that when the outer arrow ring comes in and hits the arrow where you were in, you then press the face button of your controller or your keyboards, depending on what you're playing on, so that you hit the right note. So up is Y, right B, down A, X is left, you know what I mean, with all of that. But you're doing that and moving yourself into position so that you can hit it to the beat of the music. As levels progress, you'll also get ones where you press and hold and it will kind of beam you across in a laser to a different part of the level, sometimes to the beat of the music, sometimes not, to try and keep you on your toes, and then more often than not as the difficulty increases. And there's also a button mash button as well, which is like a wider one and will kind of like ta-da, have a little moment of its own. As you'll see as I'm playing through these levels, there's like a little bar on the top of the screen which will slowly go between red and white. As you miss stuff, it will start to fill up with red. And if it fills up with red all the way, then it's game over. There are checkpoints throughout some of the songs because some songs go on for several minutes. And that is kind of a good given for the game because a lot around this is around memorization, not just of like the actual arrow patterns, but it's where you need to go around to platform and parkour to get to the right place, because the parkouring is all momentum based, and that takes precision, time and confidence to be able to get yourself into the right place. And because it is kind of a little bit hazy and woolly on the momentum kind of based gameplay, quite often you'll be doing what you think is the same thing twice, or what feels like the same thing twice, and getting very different results. And because wall jumping is such a big thing and wall sliding is such a big thing in this game, it takes a long time to kind of get to grips with exactly how BeatBeat kind of forms and comes together. A lot of the early levels seemed to be missing on the very first early access version of this, so I kind of parked this game for a little while because I was really struggling. But now that there is some easier levels, that helped me train myself to get better at the game as I went through. However, I do feel that some of the momentum-based gameplay does not lend itself particularly well to precise rhythm-based gameplay. And I think the reason for this, and maybe it's because I'm so indoctrinated in being on rhythm, is that BeatBeat requires you to do a lot of stuff off rhythm to then rejoin back into the beat again when it requires you to do so, particularly in the early levels, and then more so because of the franticness of the later hardcore levels, which I have to say I didn't stand a chance of finishing at all. And it's because you've got to move and get into position, and then quite often what you'll need to do is jump, and then you're jumping before the beat so that you then hit the arrow and the face button on the beat as you're going through. And so you're having to mentally leave, rejoin. Some of the charts are set up so that actually, because if you're thinking of like 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll jump on 3 to hit on 4. So you can kind of get into that. But if you have no sense of timing, you're going to really drown in this game and it won't be for you. Also, by the nature of its design, because of the way how you're moving to get into arrows to deal with stuff, as the difficulty progresses, the game gets really cluttered in terms of UI going around, so that you can understand like where you're going and what you're placing. Now, that's kind of a thing. I'm thinking back to Project Diva days. I'm used to kind of having things fly into the screen like all overlapped and trying to hit each other. I think because it is so big in the screen and you're having to maneuver and get into position and hit on the beat and work out where you're going next, and they're all kind of flying in together, it makes it a bit of an overwhelm for me. I'm not really sure, because of the way how the game is designed, whether that can ever actually be truly cleaned up. But I found that it was actually part of the difficulty was just trying to work out what on earth I was doing, rather than being able to then get into position. Getting into position is then half the battle because of the momentum based in the wall jumps and the wall sliding and the way how they all go at different paces. BeatBeat to me seems like a game that I would quite enjoy on the easy difficulties and then give up on the hard ones and know that I will never be good enough to get there. But I don't think the game necessarily helps you either. It's interesting that the developer says that the code has been crafted with pure rage from the darkest depths of my heart, because it will be pure rage that you'll be getting on the harder difficulties. I enjoy a good rage fest, so long as I feel like it's fair. I do feel like BeatBeat is fair, but I do feel like it's also heavily overwhelming. And so just take it with not a pinch of salt, but just really, really home in on those early levels so that you can kind of get more into the flow of how the game works to even stand some kind of chance on the bigger difficulties. So this will be a game that will appeal to a very niche audience. I don't think it will scratch any itch for anyone that plays Super Meat Boy or anything like that. This is really a rhythm first game. But yeah, maybe something like Inside My Radio, if you really enjoyed that type of game but wanted it like super hardcore, then BeatBeat's for you. A written review will be up on higherplanegames.com later on in the week. Until then, you guys take care and enjoy the rhythm. Bye. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.